on picture. It's the actual thing.
Yeah, that's what
Hmm.
someone said. I'm
I
just
think
dying I'm dying to take it off, actually.
wait until July 6th.
Yeah. Uh, it's a challenge.
All right, we're up.
All right, Chief is wrestling with his camera. Not successfully either.
Well, yeah.
There we go. Sideways.
Let's do it.
Here he goes. Better focus now. Oh,
Mm,
not now. When you get closer.
When you get close, you're all right.
Gotta go real close.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I think.
Yeah. You better get some IT help up there. Okay, so we're going to start off. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak, um, they can raise their hand. I don't see any hands going up, so we'll go right into our discussion items. The crossing guard count, I believe, Mr. Weir, you spoke to Committeewoman Engel about this?
Yes, and Chief Sally. So we want to get data on corners, and we could look for a couple things when we're looking for data. We could look for corners we have currently with a crossing guard where we don't think that there are a lot of kids crossing, and maybe we want to reassign the guards. We can look at corners where we maybe don't have a guard, but we think there are kids crossing, and maybe we want to place a guard there. We could look at corners we added recently, like along Prospect, and do counts there to see how they're going. To the start, or to start gathering data, my recommendation is let's look at what we think are the three lowest performing corners. Because every time we talk about crossing guards and maybe where we need to use them, where they're not currently, we always talk about, well, maybe we can move them off this corner or that corner. So I think, let's get some real data as to, where, when that comes up, what those corners look like. And I know we always talk about Pearson, and that might be one of the ones that the chief recommends. But, let's first start to get data on some of these low frequency corners. So I'd ask the chief to come up with the three intersections that he recommends. We were going to do three because we don't want to have the crossing guard do it, right? We don't want people counting children while also stopping traffic and looking for vehicles and everything. So we would be sending out staff in addition to the crossing guards. We're in a good place now because we're fully staffed on crossing guards. And we have an opportunity where, we on a typical day won't be using as many parking enforcement to do crossing guard duties or police officers. So we can take them and three of them and have them count at corners. So that would be that'll be our first effort.
So one suggestion I would have is just to make the crossing guards where we're doing the counts comfortable so that they don't think that we're going to do counts and then get rid of them.
Yep, yep.
That this is really just to allocate, the crossing guards, and they may be assigned to other places if we do close their corner.
Okay, that's a good point.
Do we have any corner like crossings that are not staffed that we're looking at that you might want to do counts at as well?
Well, sometimes they come up, like from time to time, they'll come up where people suggest a guard at a corner. But given that, we're not going to be able to count every corner at once, right? We think we can do three because it's going to take morning and afternoon on a day, three staff people. So I'd recommend we start with the
Start
low
with three.
corners.
Smarter.
Yeah, and let's see, because then if you say, oh, hey, let's look at this other corner, if we do counts at that corner and there's less people or the same as that where we're already staffed, then maybe that'll help inform that discussion.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
my recommendation. I mean, we can do anything, but that's my recommendation, my thought.
Well,
I think
speaking,
we also, I just think we need to remember that where crossing guards are located is the chief of police's job, not ours. We can make recommendations, but it's his decision. Did anybody hear me?
Yes.
We heard you.
Okay.
We may not agree with you, but that's fine.
Well, it's,
It is his decision, but it doesn't mean that we
Correct.
don't have to say anything. We don't have
oh,
to be
no,
quiet.
no. I
Yeah.
think you might have, maybe I was blanked out on that part of my comment, but because I said it, we can say all we want, but it's ultimately his decision.
So let me add one thing to say to the conversation because this is a message that I got in my neighborhood WhatsApp group just this morning. Just a PSA to please be careful in the crosswalks. I was nearly mowed down by a reckless driver on Prospect again, moments after the crossing guard's duty was over. I don't know what else we can do about that intersection, but people just don't seem to get it. And this is the crosswalk right at the top of the crescent across Prospect. That, as I know you all know, has been a challenging spot. So just wanted to share that. I definitely think that's probably not going to be one of the three to look at, but
No, it's
thought
pretty
that was
busy. And it's also busy with
the conversation.
commuters. It's probably, we get a lot of commuters that use that crosswalk and people
Yeah.
don't stop there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all going to be taking place now and then a plan for September?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this is something
Okay.
we probably attack seasonally. Yes.
Okay. Uh, Deputy Mayor Herman, you want to talk about safe storage of firearms?
I do. So okay, let me bring this up in front of me. And so in New Jersey, we are not a state that preempts local authorities from regulating firearms and ammunition, going more extreme than what the state does. So that gives us the opportunity to pass an ordinance that may be stronger than what the state has in place. And so, with regard to safe storage of firearms, New Jersey we're pretty good. We're in the top half of the states. There are about 26 states that have firearm secure storage laws. And in New Jersey, the law goes into effect when you have a house that has a child that's defined as somebody who is age 16 or under. When a child is in that house or may be in that house, then you are required to securely store your gun. Your gun must be locked. But we can do more. And there is a bill in the state assembly that would take this farther. And so there is an effort for some towns and municipalities throughout New Jersey to pass this because that would, help to encourage the state to do this on a state level. So Trenton had a first reading of an ordinance to do this last Monday. And Verona is having a discussion item for this next Monday. And then there's one other town, and I want to say Bloomfield, but I'm not for sure, so I will double check that. There is one other town that is considering this as well. So we would be among the first. And essentially, what this would do, this higher level of standards. So I'm going to put in the chat a link to the state. Okay, so if you click on that, that is the state bill. So you can see none of our people are the primary or the co-sponsors on it. But if you take a look at that, they spell out the reason for why we need this pretty clearly. And I just want to read some of that. Having unsecured personal firearms in the home puts both adults and children at significant increased risk of accidental injury, accidental death, suicide by firearm, and increased lethality in domestic violence. Ownership of personal firearms in New Jersey has surged dramatically since 2019, increasing by more than 300% in 2020. In 2018, 458 people died from unintentional firearm injuries. 116 of these were children. The American Medical Association and others have declared gun violence a public health crisis. So by ensuring that firearms are securely stored, this reduces risk of theft, loss, trafficked guns, or it saves the lives of our residents. So if you go through here, essentially what this would mean is that, well, right now, anyone who is a household with a child 16 and under must have the gun locked. The this ordinance would do two things. Number one, it would mean that everyone would have to have it locked whenever it's not in use. So this means that it would keep this out of the hands of children, but also unauthorized users and other adults in the home. And the second thing is that it specifies that the gun and the ammunition must be stored separately. So the gun must be locked, unloaded, and then the ammunition stored separately. And that doesn't have to be locked, but just has to be stored separately. So those are the two main things that it does in its update.
So I'm gonna
100%.
put up the Trenton ordinance.
The Trenton
I would just,
I can put a link in there. They have a whole like um I can email it to everyone, or I'm going to put this link in and you basically go to page 41.
So it's up here. It's up on the
They
screen.
put all their things like they hold on, I'll go in the chat. They put all their things in the same. It's like so the E code is for Trenton and you go to page 41 and that's the Trenton ordinance.
Yeah, well, here it is. It's on the screen.
Oh, you got it on the screen. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they put in here, and I would use their, um, what is it, like, actions, if you're found, to violate the ordinance.
Right.
They spell out like
The penalties.
the penalties, exactly.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 first offense, and then the second offense is 2,000 plus, community service or jail time, depending on, the judge's discretion.
And then here's mom's demand action, the draft one.
Yeah. So this is some of their draft language.
Malia, did you have anything more to say? I was going to ask the chief if he had any thoughts about this.
Yeah, I'm done. Questions?
Chief, what do you think
Yeah.
about this?
I mean, it's good. The only way we can enforce it is if we're in the house for something and we observe it. It's kind of like a ordinance where, it gives us something to issue if we're in the house for a domestic or something like that.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's more so for people that are authorized to have a firearm. So if they're authorized to have a firearm, they're supposed to secure it in this proper way. But if they're not authorized to have a firearm, they're getting arrested for not supposed to have a firearm. They're not legally allowed to have a firearm. So we can charge them that way as well if they're not legally allowed to have the firearm.
Yeah. This is for people who legally are authorized. They have a permit.
And they're not securing it properly. Correct.
Right. And it's not, I mean, like, no, you're not going to go into homes and like do checks. Nobody has to like sign up or certify that they've done this. I mean, most of the time, like you say, Chief, it's when you go into the house on another call, like a domestic or another call, or it could be when or if the gun is used in an improper way. Yeah.
it would also be an additional charge, if you will, right? If something happens and they break that
Right.
ordinance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a no-brainer to me. I
So-
think we should
Yeah,
put it
what I
on
would
for
suggest is, Malia, if you could run this by Jennifer
Hmm.
and just show her the language of both of these and see if she can come up with a draft
Okay.
one. And then I'm in favor of it if you want to put it on for a discussion on May 20th,
I'd love
the
to.
recommendation of the Public Safety Committee.
Great. Sounds good.
Okay, but just run it by her to make sure she's okay with the language, or if she wants to merge the two languages, or just say,
Yeah, I'd
let's
need her
just
to do
use the
that
Trenton
anyway.
language.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll send her all the language.
I'll
Okay,
put it on for discussion anyway, because, she'll have to review it after. the
Right.
discussion
Right.
anyway.
Great. Yeah.
okay. So let's move to the police activity and go to the reports. Okay, wrong way. Let me go down. So we had, here's the statistics for the first quarter of 25. You can see we've had a lot of reductions. We had robbery, we had an increase. We had one last year, we had two this year so far. But everything else we're reducing. Overall, it's 29% reduction, 23 less incidents.
Yeah, as far as the two robberies, they were both juveniles. One was in the high school. We identified
Right.
that juvenile, and the second one was outside the high school, but in the area of the high school, and we're still collecting some evidence for that. But I think we will have an identification that second one. So those two robberies was around the school. The burglaries, um, they're still around us though. Milburn had two last night. But Maplewood did not have any. So I just, I believe it's because we have increased patrol in the area at night around that time when these are happening. And hopefully we can hold on to that. The auto thefts, I mean, that could be zero if people just, locked their doors and took their keys with them. Every last one of those is the car running with the keys in the car, and a few of them were from the Wawa going into the store. That's the bulk of the incidents we have.
Anybody have questions about this? Good job, Chief. Let's move to traffic enforcement. Again, through the first quarter. Moving violations are up significantly for the first quarter of 2025, 160 more than 2024. Radar up 35, 175% increase. Warning notices are up slightly. Vehicle stops are up a lot. And traffic details. Now, Chief, you're saying that you do less traffic details because you want people to do traffic in their normal patrols, right?
Right, and you see the increase, so it seems to be working. So we just, of course, we have our complaint areas, and we'll put the officers in that complaint area, but we'll just have them drive that area, and when they see a violation, then they stop it.
Okay.
I've definitely seen more patrol cars around town. So, good job.
Yeah, these guys are doing a great job.
Right. Let's see what else. Overtime, Chief, you want to talk about overtime?
Yeah. So, we have a decrease in every category pretty much as far as the overtime. At least overtime is down 23 over 23%. The 911 dispatch overtime is down 62%, and overall decrease of a little over 32%, as you see, total cost. So everything's trending down.
And you're attributing this to what?
The new schedule. So the schedule is helping us out. We have a lot more officers on a shift. So if officer takes off or or is ill, we still have coverage. And it's working pretty good because a lot of guys are getting their time off with no complaint or no problem. So guys are getting their time off, and it's not causing us a lot of overtime with it.
An additional comment on that, last year's overtime was dramatically greater than the previous year. And so with these decreases, hopefully we're getting back to previous year numbers. But it's good that we're reducing overtime, but hopefully we're reducing it to a level that had been common in years prior to 2024.
Chief, as the meeting goes on, you get blurrier, just so you know. I don't know if it's like this is what you're thinking about the meeting or it's just your camera.
I'm trying to fade out.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, these are good numbers all around. Thank you, Chief. Okay.
I just want to add something. We had I have the information in front of me, so I'm just, we had a robbery last year. It was a shooting on Jacoby Street. I don't know if you guys remember that last year.
Yes.
We made an arrest in that case. So recently just made an arrest for that incident.
Very good.
Also, I want to highlight Officer Anthony Dolan, who I was just at his graduation tonight. He graduated, got his master's degree, and gave he was chosen to give the student reflection speech at the end. He
Very
did a great
good.
job with that. So I made a little recording as much as I can get on my little phone. So did a good job. Congratulations to him.
We'll send our congratulations.
So,
All right. Community Board on Police. Let's see. If you can move Kinsia over. With the cat.
Hello. Yeah.
And of course the
I-
Montclair State behind you too.
oh yeah. My chapter for my sorority. Um, am I supposed to be saying something? I didn't come ready with the report. I kind of
No,
came ready to listen.
we generally just invite the Community Board on Police representative over in case you wanted to share with us anything that's coming up or any questions that you wanted us to address or anything like that. If not, that's fine too.
I'm gonna pass. I don't have anything to
Okay.
report and any questions, so thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Then we're going to move you back to your comfortable position of being on the attendee list.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Patrick, anything on the Office of Emergency Management?
Yeah, we're continuing to work on our EOP. It was shared with all department heads and with the township committee last week. So we're looking to get comments back and have them. We're working with a consultant provided to us by the state to update that. So we want to get them the comments Friday or Monday of next week. And New Jersey Transit is having a strike this projected for this Friday. It would start Friday at 12 a.m., so midnight, from Thursday into Friday. And so we've met to discuss contingency plans for that. We put out a public notice today on what that'll look like. Our jitneys will be running their regular routes, though less frequent runs, and will be dropping off at South Orange Station instead of Maplewood Station so that residents can get the bus from there to Port Authority Bus Terminal. New Jersey Transit is increasing the frequency of the bus from South Orange to the train. So the chief is working with the South Orange chief to get us hopefully some curb space for drop-offs of the jitneys coming from the east side of the tracks. So then from the west side, that Wyoming shuttle will go to SOPAC for pickup and drop-off. We'll also we may be providing some accommodations for Boxcar to do pickups and drop-offs on Valley. They're looking to add buses and quicken their routes a little bit. Right now, going to the train station takes them some extra time, so they were looking for, if they can, running a shuttle on Valley from South Orange to Maplewood. Would be the only two pickups, and then out to 78 into Port Authority. So looking for some areas on Valley for that. I'm working with the chief. We likely or hopefully in front of Town Hall, and then we had shared some information about pickups on Springfield as well from the there's an express bus that runs into Irvington and then to Newark Penn, where they could change for other mass transit. So that information was put out today. The chief will keep working tomorrow for that, to find where that curbside loading is going to be in South Orange. We'll put out another notice to the public.
Just, so you know, that I asked Mikey Sherrill's office, Congresswoman Sherrill's office,
Okay.
about negotiations. Apparently, everybody's in Washington, DC, but she said they're still waiting to see if anything progresses, and when they know, we'll know, so.
I just want to say that I think we have a very good practice of using our OEM to be very proactive. A lot of towns don't do that, and so we have a history of it, and it served us well, of course, during COVID and any emergencies. But here's another example. We were very proactive on this. Got stuff out, thought through all this, and made plans. Let's hope we don't have to use them. That's one of the things about emergency management. You always hope you don't have to use them. But if you do, you're prepared. So, okay, we're going to move South Essex Fire Department. So there's going to be promotional ceremony that we have new captains and new deputy chiefs. It's going to be May 31st, a Saturday at 4 o'clock. And we've brought on 5 new fire recruits, and we're going to have them at the July 1st Township Committee meeting just to introduce themselves to us. So in one shot, we've diversified the fire department by a huge number. So, and then you can, in the agenda, there were all the incidents year to date. I don't need to go over them, but just again, the thing that the fire department responds to the most is EMS in Maplewood. Okay, any new items? And well, one new item, Patrick, Chief, do you want to talk? We did interviews of new police officers on Monday, and we're going to be sending or we're bringing on 3. We're sending to the academy some. And where will this put us once we have everybody on patrol?
We have 2 that are already officers, so they'll just transfer over, and 1's going into the academy, and that'll bring us to our full amount of officers, 3. So it will we'll be full.
And then we have a list now in case we have any other vacancies for the balance of the year. We can go right to that list, right?
Yes, we have a ranking and a list, and if we get any other retirements, then we can fill them in. We'll be back up and running.
Great.
I had one other thing I want to add as far as new things. After receiving a grant from the New Jersey Division of Highway and Traffic Safety, the Maplewood Police Department will be conducting numerous traffic enforcement details throughout the township that will target motorists who commit moving violations that put themselves, other motorists, and pedestrians at risk. In addition, pedestrians whose own actions put themselves at risk will be contacted and issued summonses and or warnings as well. The Maplewood Police Department is fully committed to safety and security and would like to remind residents, visitors to be mindful when driving and walking to make the roads safer for all. So we're going to do, it's a state campaign. We are part of it. We're going to put out a press release and everything and get it out there. We want to start this May 21st. We'll have of course, our regular officers out there, but through the grant, we can have extra officers on the street specifically for this.
Great. Okay,
Great.
anybody else have new items? We'll go to our second public comment.
Sorry, I was just gonna,
Go ahead.
about the enforcement of at the high school for drop-offs. We talked at Engineering Public Works about the plans to implement drop-off areas, but there was a lot of comment, and Deputy Mayor can obviously speak to this, and since she spoke about it this morning, or not, I can just say it. There's people dropping off their kids in their park, in the drive lane. They're just opening the door and letting them out. There's a lot of kids, of course, crossing at the crosswalks and things like that. So it's just kind of hoping there could be some more enforcement or officer presence if they're not substituting for crossing guards or things like that. What do you think, Chief?
Yeah, our traffic bureau has been pretty good. So they've been moving from school to school. They separated in for a couple weeks and Clinton. So then we'll work our way over to the high school and do the same type of enforcement.
Okay,
There's-
if there, I was just gonna say, if there's not someplace they need to be, or if they don't have to substitute for a crossing guard, can they be more regularly at the high school? Until people, and enforcing, meaning ticketing.
Yeah, definitely. But we get the same complaint at South Boyden and Clinton. So we try to, hit each one. Equal,
Yeah, and
kind of, but yeah, we'll do Columbia as well.
Yeah, I was wondering, and maybe this is, also related to the crossing guard situation, but there is a officer who does crossing guard on Parker at, it's like the Parker Academy and North Terrace. And there's also that intersection at Parker and in the middle, like that's Kensington. So I wonder, does it make sense to have another like officer, or having somebody stationed who can do enforcement?
Yeah, we do our best to get over it. Again, we have same complaints at every school.
Yeah,
So we do our best to get over there, but we'll focus on that as a top priority, and then we'll move them around again, and then we'll come back.
yeah, we gotta get these parents in order, man.
Yeah, yeah.
We gotta be safe.
I mean, yeah. So we've been out there, we've been doing it, but we just we'll move it over to the high school. Seth
Yeah,
Boyden School was in the beginning of the year was a big complaint. Now the teachers are thanking our traffic enforcement for what they're doing over there, so we can move them over, and then do the same type thing
yeah,
enforcement, and
yeah. I
then
know Seth
move them
Boyden was
back.
a big problem area, so thank you. Yeah, and maybe we can do a like you know, a public, information campaign like the mayor was talking about this morning about, more, less driving, more walking, more biking to get to school. So thank you, Chief.
Chief, can you come arrest my dog?
What was that? You
He
broke up.
won't leave me alone.
Arrest
My
her
puppy.
dog. Okay, second public comment. Anyone want to address the Public Safety Committee? Okay, we see no one. Chief, do you have anything for us in executive?
No, I mean that was was nothing really to add. We had a couple incidents, but we made good arrests, and so
Okay.
doing pretty good.
And you made the arrest on the robbery at the gas station. That was good.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, we had a couple days ago we had a aggravated assault in front of the Wawa. A person came out and struck another person with a bat, but we made an arrest in that. It was random, but we made the arrest.
Okay.
Can
Well,
I have
yes.
one thing, and it maybe it's for the next meeting, Chief, but the universal walking post is a new thing. I think it'd be helpful to hear about how that's going. It doesn't have to be today, but I think it's a worthwhile conversation.
Yeah, the universal officer is a great position. However, right now, we are, well, maybe we need to talk about that. We can, not in this open forum. But
Yeah, I didn't mean to spring on you, but I'm just thinking about it now, so I think it'd be helpful.
Okay. Chief, do you want to talk about it now or not? Or just think about it and bring it next meeting? Okay. I think you said next meeting.
Yeah, I'll bring it back next meeting.
Okay. All right. I'll try to get this meeting over so the mayor can go watch the Villanova Knicks.
Started at 7.
No kidding, I've been watching it. And then I had to shut it off for this meeting, so.
Me too.
All right, so Malia, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
I motion that we adjourn.
I second that. All in favor? Aye.
Okay. Go next.